In the shadows of ancient marble temples and blood-stained battlefields, the legacy of Greece was not only carved in philosophy and democracy, but also in violence. Behind the myths and glory, there were rulers who left behind scorched cities, shattered alliances, and rivers of blood. This isn't the Greece of poets or philosophers. This is the Greece of tyrants, conquerors, and kings who believed that domination was destiny. These are 5 rulers whose names echo through history, not just for their ambition, but for the blood they spilled to achieve it. Forget Spartan honor. Nabis turned Sparta into a chamber of horror. Rising to power in the ashes of its greatness, he crowned himself king and crushed all opposition. But Nabis didn't just kill, he innovated. His most infamous creation? The Iron Apega, a lifelike statue of his wife with hidden blades that embraced victims to death. He used it to extort wealth from nobles and enforce loyalty through terror. He purged his enemies, redistributed land through brute force, and ruled with cruelty masked as reform. Even Rome, no stranger to blood, recoiled at his methods. Eventually, they came for him. He died at the hands of conspirators, stabbed to death by his own guards. Was Nabis a reformer using terror, or a monster who dressed tyranny as justice? They called him the Besieger, and he earned the name. Demetrius Poliorcetes wasn't just a king, he was an engine of destruction. Son of Antigonus, heir to a fragmented empire, he brought hell to every city that resisted him. At Rhodes, he built one of the largest siege towers in history to breach its walls, battering the city for months. In Athens, he played savior one day and tyrant the next, plundering temples, imposing puppet regimes, and executing opposition. He took pleasure in the spectacle of war, unleashing towering siege weapons that tore ancient cities apart stone by stone. For Demetrius, conquest wasn't a necessity, it was art. Was Demetrius a military genius or a megalomaniac with a god complex? Cleon didn't rise through noble lineage or battlefield glory. He clawed his way up through rage, rhetoric, and bloodlust. As Athens tore itself apart during the Peloponnesian War, Cleon fed the fire. He turned democracy into a weapon, branding dissent as treason and silencing rivals with populist fury. After the revolt of Mytilene, Cleon demanded the execution of every man and the enslavement of every woman and child. Only a last-minute reversal spared the city, but Cleon wasn't done. He led reckless offensives, urged on mass slaughter and scorned compromise. Believing fear, not justice, preserved power. He died in battle, but not before dragging Athens further into ruin. His legacy, a democracy weaponized by blood and vengeance. Was Cleon a necessary evil, or the man who poisoned Athens from within? He's remembered as a genius, a conqueror, a legend, but Alexander didn't forge an empire with brilliance alone. He drenched the ancient world in blood. At Thebes, he destroyed a city to make an example. At Tyre, after a brutal 7-month siege, he crucified thousands. When his men hesitated to carry out mass slaughter, Alexander urged them on. In India, he slaughtered tribes who dared resist and executed his own officers over imagined slights. Even friends weren't safe. Clytus, who once saved his life, was murdered in a drunken rage. Cities burned, cultures collapsed, and the known world bowed, while rivers ran red. He wasn't just creating history, he was erasing it. Was Alexander a visionary, or simply history's most successful butcher? Pyrrhus was a king who never knew when to stop. He didn't conquer for glory. He conquered because he couldn't do anything else. Marching from Epirus to Italy, then to Sicily, and back again, he battled Rome, Carthage, and everyone in between. He won battles so costly they nearly destroyed him, the original Pyrrhic victories. At Heraclea and Asculum, he crushed Roman armies but lost irreplaceable men. His war elephants shocked the enemy, but his ambition killed more than they ever trampled. When he returned home, he picked another fight, in Sparta. There, amidst the chaos of urban battle, a woman hurled a roof tile at him. It crushed his skull. Pyrrhus bled nations dry. But for what? From brutal tyrants to unrelenting warlords, these rulers reshaped the ancient world through fear, ambition, and the sword. Their legacies remain etched into the bones of history, glorified by some, condemned by others, but never forgotten. Which of these rulers do you think left the darkest stain on Greece's past? Let us know in the comments. And if you crave more stories soaked in blood and power, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell, because history doesn't whisper. It screams.